Hello, my name is Wendy Patrick, and we're going to talk about seeing red, spotting emotional signs of dangerous people. Research reveals there are common emotional characteristics of violent offenders, or even people that are dangerous to you emotionally, if not physically. Now, most people would like to acknowledge a link between negative emotion and the possibility of violence. From bar fights to domestic abuse, some arguments have the potential to turn physical when one of the parties loses his or her temper. But are there clinical disorders that more directly tie emotion to violence? Well, research has some answers. We'll call this emotional show and tell. Some people have mastered the art of keeping their emotions in check, handling conversation and conflict with poker faces. They never reveal how they're really feeling. Interacting with someone who has this type of tight rein on his or her emotions can be a blessing and a curse, depending on the setting. Sure, emotional detachment might be a good quality to have in customer service or other public settings where one has to remain calm under all circumstances. On the other hand, close relationships usually benefit from both partners being emotionally expressive and available. It is one thing to profess emotion verbally, but if the mannerisms do not match the message, counterintuition can create skepticism and distrust. But when it comes to dangerous people, we want to know what types of emotional red flags might alert us to potential danger. Thankfully, research has explored that issue. Violence and emotion. Violence may be tied to emotion, or more specifically, per research, emotional dysregulation. Studies have provided this kind of evidence of a positive link between psychopathy, for example, and emotional dysregulation. Now, lots of these studies have been conducted on different kinds of offenders, but when you talk about emotional dysregulation in general, you're looking at the kinds of traits that might render it almost impossible to retain emotional control under all circumstances. Now, some of this research is fueled by the recognition that emotional dysregulation is a central feature of psychopathy. And as such, understanding it is key because it may be one of the links between psychopathy and aggressive behavior. Accordingly, some researchers have suggested that offenders exhibiting psychopathy may benefit from interventions that target the awareness, understanding, or the management of emotions and emotional experiences. The ability to improve the regulation of emotion may reduce psychopathy-related violent reoffense. Now, some of these studies have been done on men, but obviously women can be dangerous as well. Psychopathy is not gender-specific. But it's nonetheless helpful to learn about some of the links between emotional issues and potentially violent tendencies. Emotional red flags are risk factors. Risk factors are exactly that, factors to consider in combination with our observations and evidence. Many people suffer from emotional dysregulation. These people would never hurt a fly. That is why threat assessment encompasses an analysis of a variety of factors that are related to potential risk, not just one thing. Nonetheless, disregarding emotional cues, especially those that are linked with interpersonal difficulties, deprives us of necessary information to incorporate within an assessment of potential dangerousness. And because we cannot detect emotional cues when we have our noses buried in our devices, let's keep them in our pockets or purses, especially when we are in public. Situational awareness is not about paranoia, but preparedness. Knowing what types of emotional states are potentially linked to violence is an important component to consider, regardless of the setting. So be open to acquiring new acquaintances, but remain situationally aware in order to remain safe.